Hey everyone, a video on how to set up your grade book for the school year. Trying to make this as concise as possible. So here we are starting in first quarter, term first quarter, and I'm going to select grade book. The first and probably the most important thing you can do for your grade book is set up the grade calc options. So if you select that, it will bring you into another menu for calculations. This is probably the most important thing you can do for your grade book because it really is the backbone. It's how all the composite grading is calculated and how the grades actually get posted, especially the cumulative grade at the end of the year. So here we are in the grade book, and you're going to first populate all 4 quarters. Now you don't have to populate the interim report because there is no calculation on interim reports. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to start with quarter grade for Q1. And the type is in progress grade. And the grading scale for the middle school and the high school is always gradebook. Now, if you're a person that weights your categories, you will select weight categories. If you're a person that uses score percent value as well, you would select that also. But for my purposes, I use weight categories only. So I'm going to go down to each quarter grade and I'm going to populate those items. So under type, I'm going to go to in progress grade, I'm going to go to gradebook, and I'm going to go to weight categories. Again, I'm skipping my interim report because it's not necessary to populate that field. So I'm just going to go to my 4 quarters. I'm going to go to also, in a moment, my final exam, if I have a final exam. Some teachers do, some teachers don't, depending on what you teach. In addition, some teachers also have a midterm somewhere in between Q2 and Q3. So if you have a midterm, you would also go to that field and populate the grading scale and the weight categories, because that is a part of your cumulative grade at the end. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is go to Q4 final grade. If you're teaching a semester course, that final grade will be present on Q2. So in Q4 final grade, I'm going to select the box, and then I'm going to build my composite grading. So in the case of my classes, I teach 4 quarters and I give a final exam. So I need 5 different pieces here to make up my composite grading. So my first is going to be quarter grade 1, quarter grade 2, quarter grade 3, quarter grade 4. Again, you're not selecting interims, then the drop downs, and final exam. Depending on your discipline, some of you will only have the 4 quarter grades. And the weight of all of these, 100 divided by 5 would be 20% because they're always weighted equally. So I'm going to populate my weights. If you only have 4 elements here to grade on, it would be 25%. So I'm going to hit save. Now, you don't see any of that yet because it's only first quarter, but at the end of the marking period, if you don't see those in progress grade numbers here, then you know you left out those grade calc options. Now, grade calc options, I completed it for this section that I'm on now. That is the piece that you actually have to go to each section you teach and go to grade calc options. So I did it for my first period. I have to go to second period and complete grade calc options the same way I just did. And then I'd go to my third section that I teach and do that fourth and fifth, however many sections that you teach. So that you have to do for each section. But again, once it's done for the entire year. Okay, so my grade calc options are set. Now I'm ready to make some categories. What is it that I grade on? I'm going to go into my categories right here, again under gradebook setting. I'm going to select categories, and it allows me to put it in all of my sections. If your categories hold through all of your sections, then you could keep it on all. If you have certain sections, maybe you have honors or IB or regents that you have different categories for, then make sure you go to the section that you're putting your categories in. But I think for the most part, most of you keep your sections all the same. So I'm going to all my sections and I'm going to hit add. and I'm going to add a classwork section. I'm sorry, a classwork category. And like I said, I put all of my categories in the same section. So I'm going to go here and check all the sections that I wanted in. And then I'm going to give it a weight. Now my classwork is going to be 25%. And again, it doesn't matter where you put the weights, what you weight your categories on, as long as all of your categories equal 100. So I'm going to hit save on that, and I'm going to build my categories from there. After my categories are built, and again, you won't see them in your gradebook until you actually have an assignment built in to your gradebook. So again, I built the category, but I still don't see anything here in my gradebook, even if I truncate the gradebook. But I'm going to add an assignment now. So I have an assignment to add. And you can do all your assignments all at once in the beginning of the quarter, or you can do it, piecemeal as they go along. It's truly up to you. So I'm going to go up to the click add button, and this is where I'm going to name my assignment. So I'm going to give a homework assignment, first day of school. So I'm going to name it homework 1. And I'm going to abbreviate it because that's how it appears in the spreadsheet, what would be like the spreadsheet of the gradebook. And the assigned date and the due date. These automatically default to the current date that you're building the assignment. But if you're planning ahead and you're trying to get your assignments in and you're projecting to, future assignments, that's okay too. You can put whatever date you would like in here. Just keep in mind that the assigned dates and the due dates is what shows up on the parent portal. So if you want to maybe assign a test but not let it out there, just be wary of those dates. Another way to block what the parents see, if you notice here, there's a checkbox under portal. So say, for example, you want to give a pop quiz, but you don't want the students to know that you're going to give a surprise quiz. You could put it in as an assignment, but if you uncheck portal, they won't be able to see it on the parent portal. Okay. Now, this is the section that I want to put this assignment in. It can go into multiple sections if that's where you want it to go. And just make sure it's in the right category. I'm putting it in my classwork, or if it's a test, I would put it in my test category. And the standard grading task is always going to be quarter grade. You're never going to build assignments on a final grade. It's always going to go into a quarter grade. And the scoring type is points. The points on my homework is out of 50. And the multiplier is how many times you're going to count that assignment. Most of the time it's a multiplier of 1. You might be an instance where you would multiply it more than one time. For example, if you are counting a test twice or something like that. But that's entirely up to you. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to save the assignment. And once I save the assignment, it pops up here on the right. And if you notice, now my category of classwork shows up because my homework was populated into my classwork. Again, you make your assignments and categories aligned how you want them aligned. Now, once I have the assignment in here, there's a couple of ways I can grade it. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Once you grade the assignment, you can just populate the grades accordingly. Now, another way you can mass populate grades, for example, if you gave a quiz or you gave a homework assignment and everybody got a 50 out of 50 on the quiz, you could open up the assignment. I don't really want to save this, so I'm not going to. You could open up the assignment by the active blue link. And it's not allowing me to do that. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. You can open up the assignment. And similar to where you post grades, you can fill the same score down. So for example, if everybody got a 50 out of 50 on this homework assignment, I'm going to click on Fill Score. I'm going to select that it's going to be a quarter grade, and I'm going to type in the grade, which in this case, everyone got a 50, and I would hit Fill, And if you notice here, everyone was graded a 50 out of 50. You can also do this if, for example, the majority of your students got the same score, but maybe just like one or two got a few points different. This saves you a little bit of time because you can fill the score and then you can go up and adjust it accordingly. So say my first two students got 48 out of 50, and then you can adjust that and save it rather than going all the way down your roster. What do the letters mean on the side? These are little notations that you can make in your grade book. If you forget what they mean, you can just hover over them. T means turned in, M is missing, L is late, I is incomplete, C is cheated, X is exempt, and D is dropped. So those are little notations you can make in the fields of the grade book if you wanted to keep track of, maybe a student missed a test, or maybe they dropped, or maybe they're exempt, whatever it may be. Just keep in mind if you do a mark of missing or cheated, it will automatically calculate that grade as a 0 until you unmark it. So say, for instance, I marked this student's grade as missing. You would put it in there, and then on your grade book, if I go back to the grade book view, oops, getting out of this. Nope, didn't mean to do that either. Oh, there it is. So if you see in my grade book, it has like a little blue tab here. And again, if I hover over it, it will tell me what that tab means. However, if I left it and forgot about it or didn't go back and mark it, it would automatically give that student a 0 for that assignment. So I want to make sure I go back and unmark it so that student can be properly graded. Just make sure whenever you make any changes to the assignments, hit this white and orange save button so you don't have to redo grades or assignments or anything like that. Just a couple of other little things on the gradebook. Under the settings tab, that's where you can select display sparkline graph. You can do a coloration for pass-fail grades, which will show up on your gradebook. If you notice, I selected that, and then all of my grades were marked in like a very light green, which indicates passing. If I had a grade in here that wasn't passing, it would put it in like a reddish pink. So that's just easier as your gradebook builds. Right now I only have one assignment in here, but if you visualize this later on in the quarter where it's not the case, it'll be easier to kind of eyeball stuff. The other thing I can show you on here is if you go up into the little person and you go into account settings. Oops, here we go. Once you're in account settings, right here you can show active students only. That way, once students are taken out of your class or dropped, they're not in your lineup in your gradebook. You can also do other selections here where you would show a student number, show a student picture for attendance purposes, use a seating chart for attendance, and everybody has the canned comments check. That's defaulted by the system. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to call me or Dawn Balone. We are more than happy to help you. Have a great day and good luck this school year.